After the fourth wave of flood in the Yangtze River passed through the Three Gorges Dam on August 15th, the Hydrological Bureau of the Yangtze River Committee of the Ministry of Water Resources of China stated on the 17th that the fifth flood of the Yangtze River of 2020 has formed upstream of the Yangtze River. The floodwater level on August 19th will exceed Chongqing Cuntan Hydrology Station's guaranteed water level by 3 to 4 meters. The Three Gorges Reservoir will reportedly see its biggest flood peak since its construction, with the incoming flow reaching 74,000 cubic meters per second on August 20th. A video posted by netizens shows on August 16th, in response to the passage of flood number 4, the Three Gorges Dam opened its 8 floodgates to release floodwaters, with a discharge flow rate of 42,400 cubic meters per second. The Three Gorges Dam has been continuously discharging floodwaters to free up storage capacity in the face of the ensuing flood number 5. At 11 a.m. on August 18th, it had opened 9 floodgates to release floodwaters, with a water level of 158.15 meters, an inflow volume of 58,000 meters cubed, and an outflow volume of 44,100 meters cubed. Here are a few concepts to start with. When entering a flood season, the water level of rivers rise, and the flood control level is generally divided into 3 levels, from low to high, as follows. Low water level fortification is the water level at which the river embankment begins to enter the flood control stage during the flood season, i.e., the embankment begins to face the water after the river reaches the banks. Medium warning level. The water level reached a certain height and entered the emergency stage when flood can exceed the embankment any time. It could differ according to quality of embankment, protection priorities, and the analysis of past years of risk. Guaranteed maximum water level. The designed maximum flood control level, or the highest flood level that has been defended historically. When the water level is at or near the guaranteed level, flood control enters a top emergency state. The embankment will be underwater, and the embankment may be overwhelmed and could collapse or result in danger any time. The fourth round of floods in the upper reaches of the Yangtze River is gradually forming. All of Sichuan province has experienced heavy rainfall for several consecutive days since August 10th. During this period, the Sichuan Meteorological Observatory issued an orange-level rainstorm warning for 2 consecutive days, the first time in history. Heavy rainfall and upstream flooding caused 41 rivers in Sichuan to exceed the warning level. On the 17th, the Tujiang River, Fu River, Qinyi River, Min River, Dadu River, Jiangling River, and the Yellow River main tributaries and other 32 rivers had all exceeded their guaranteed water levels. This is 2 times the average of past flood seasons. The Ya'an City section of the Qinyi River has experienced a once-in-a-century flood. It is expected that the entire Qinyi River basin will exceed the guaranteed water level, and the low reaches of the Dadu River and the Min River will also experience full flooding. The flood control situation is very serious. At 5 o'clock on August 17th, Sichuan province initiated a Level 1 flood control emergency response. According to CCTV and other mainland media reports, this is the first Level 1 flood control emergency response in Sichuan's history. Not only floods, but also devastating landslides and mudslides have hit Shaojin County in Aba Prefecture, Sichuan Province. In the upper reaches of the Tujiang River in Jintang County, water began to rise on August 15th. Following this, the first floor of the city became completely flooded for nearly a day, requiring all residents below the 3rd floor to evacuate. On the morning of the 17th, someone recorded the bridge in Jintang County that was almost entirely flooded. Rows of cars are stuck on the bridge, unable to move. A flood peak also appeared on the afternoon of the 17th. The water level of the Tujiang River in Jintang County exceeded the guaranteed water level by 3.85 meters, and the peak flow rate reached 8,200 cubic meters per second, breaking the highest record ever since the establishment of the Chinese Communist regime. It was classified as a once-in-50-year flood. Days of torrential rains have left the city of Chengdu waterlogged. The city looks like a reservoir. Chengdu's Huanglong River has experienced its biggest flood in 300 years. There was 1.5 meter deep standing water near some communities, and a video on the internet showed that a takeout delivery staff had to swim to deliver food. But when they reached downstairs of the building, because the customers lived on the 26th floor and the elevator was broken, they were unwilling to go downstairs to pick up the food. As a result, the delivery staff had to cancel the order and couldn't even earn 6 RMB for the delivery fee. Zizhong County and Neijiang City, which is in the middle reaches of the Tujiang River, also experienced flooding at 4 p.m. on the 17th. Prior to this, on August 17th, the flooding in Zizhong County was already very severe. Before the arrival of the flood peak, the local Tujiang River's water had already risen over embankments. More than half of the town of Guidi was flooded, and the water and electricity were out. The road leading to Guidi has also been flooded, and the town has become an isolated island. With the water level expected to rise again, local residents fear that they will be in 3/4 submerged. Local authorities say more than 3,000 people, which is half of the town's population, have been urgently evacuated. The Hydrological Bureau of the Yangtze River Water Resources Commission officially announced on the 16th that the Jiangling River No. 2 flood in 2020 has taken shape. It was only 3 days since the formation of the Jiangling River No. 1 flood this year, and the flood magnitude already exceeded the previous one. A new round of Jiangling River flood peaks arrived at Qiqingkao, Chongqing City on August 18th, and the Yangtze River flood peaks arrived at Kaiyuanba, Chongqing City on August 19th. This means that Chongqing will be hit by 2 floods once again. An online video on the 18th showed that the Chongqing rivers poured into the streets. The ancient town of Qiqingkao was submerged in water, and the water level was still rising. Some netizens analyzed that Chongqing can only be saved if the flood discharge of the Three Gorges Dam reaches 60,000 square meters per second, but Wuhan and Yichun City, which are in the downstream, will be severely affected instead. Liuyang County of Shaanxi Province, which is located in the uppermost reaches of the Jialing River and far in the northern China, was also hit by floods. The Liuyang County government issued an emergency order on the evening of the 16th, stating that the Jialing River flood peak will pass through the county town at 8 p.m. on the 16th, and the first floor of some local houses will be flooded. According to the websites, the Public Security Bureau of the Liuyang County and the offices of Yanjiang towns have issued an emergency notice. The notice stated that 3 oil tanks in the upper reaches of the Jialing River from Gansu Province were washed in the Jialing River by floods. According to state media, Xinhui News Agency, at 1300 on August 17th in Mianyang, Sichuan, the flood peak of the Fujian River impacted the Fujian Bridge on the Bocheng Railway, posing a serious threat to the safety of the bridge. The railway department's heavy-duty freight train with a total weight of more than 8,100 tons was pushed onto the bridge by a vehicle. Heavy vehicles pressed the beams to protect the bridge from being washed away by the flood. Recently, there have been rare torrential rains all over Sichuan, and many places have become submerged. Since the establishment of the Chinese Communist Party, a large number of reservoirs and dams have been built in many places, but the population continues to suffer from flooding year after year. The Dujiangyan, built on the Minjiang River more than 2,000 years ago, still stands tall and continues to play a flood regulation role. What is even more worrying is that after floods from various tributaries of Sichuan flow into the Yangtze River, the Three Gorges Dam will need to face the test of the fifth round and the largest flood peak since the construction of the reservoir. In the face of the public's doubts about the Three Gorges Dam's ability to prevent flooding, in 2010, Phoenix interviewed Zhao Yanfa, Deputy Chief Engineer of the Three Gorges Water Hub's Communications Center, who pointed out that if the Three Gorges Dam suffered a 110,000 cubic meters per second plus 10% megaflood, which could only be seen once about every 10,000 years, the dam's main structures, including locks and culverts, can withstand the impact and the dam can be used unusually to discharge floodwater. He promised that the main body of the dam will not be damaged, nor will it collapse. According to official documents, the Three Gorges Dam has 77 discharge gates, amongst 67 holes laid along 3 layers. From the top down, they are called in order as spill gates, deep discharge gates, and conduit gates. The left and right power plant sections are set up with 7 sand discharge gates and 3 drift gates. In the event of a large flood, all gates will release floodwater simultaneously to ensure the safety of the dam itself. Since the 1950s, there has been great controversy surrounding the launch of the Three Gorges Dam project, with some scientists who oppose the project, such as water conservancy expert Huang Wan Li, and have thus suffered a lifetime of bad treatment from the government. However, Huang did not stop his opposition towards the dam, arguing that the dam would be a disaster for the Chinese nation. The then Chinese Premier Li Peng, who was ambitious to make a name for himself and coveting the profitability of the Three Gorges Dam, fully supported the Three Gorges project. The controversy continued until after 1989, when the then CCP leader Jiang Zemin, who was eager to gain support from Li Peng and to consolidate his status in the CCP, rushed to pass the project proposal. Li Peng once said, "The sound of a hydraulic turbine is worth 10,000 taels of gold." Indeed, the dam project had become a money-making tool for Li Peng's family. The Three Gorges project was projected to have a total investment of 90 billion RMB in 1993. But due to serious corruption in the construction process, the actual investment far exceeded this amount and was finalized at about 220 billion RMB. That was about 31.5 billion USD. The Three Gorges project was initially managed and operated by the Three Gorges Project Development Corporation, also known as the Three Gorges Group, with 2 main investors, one being ordinary Chinese people who invested through the government's Three Gorges project. But when the construction of the Three Gorges project started in 1992, the Chinese State Council decided to increase the price of electricity by 0.003 RMB per unit, and the profits were handed over together for the Three Gorges Construction Fund, with the exception of Tibet, poor areas, and isolated power grids. However, for more than a decade afterward, the price per unit of electricity increased slowly, even reaching 1.24 cents RMB in some cases. The amount of overall income is unknown, as only 107.096 billion RMB for the Three Gorges Construction Fund was stated in the China Three Gorges Construction Yearbook. After the completion of the Three Gorges project, the Three Gorges Construction Fund was renamed as the National Major Water Conservancy Project Construction Fund to continue to collect fees. From the beginning of 2010 to the end of 2019, the fund collected 123.8 billion RMB from the South to North Water Transfer Project and the Three Gorges follow-up work. Another investor in the Three Gorges project was the few shareholders of the China Yangtze Power Company, who bought all the turbine generators of the Three Gorges project with their shares. Li Peng's son, Li Xiaopeng, was at the time the CEO of Huang'an International Power Company Limited, and in 2002, the Three Gorges Project Development Corporation and Huang'an International Power Company, among others, collaborated to establish China Yangtze River Power Company Limited, which was listed in Shanghai. Li Yang'an, who takes orders entirely from Li Xiaopeng, is both the general manager of the Three Gorges Project Development Corporation and the chairman of China Yangtze River Power Company. Through this operation, they divested the power generation, the main profit source of the dam, from the Three Gorges Group, so that all the Three Gorges project's income from the generation of hydroelectric turbines will go into the pocket of shareholders of China Yangtze River Power Company. The Chinese citizens who funded more than 30 billion USD to the project did not get the promised 0.08 RMB per kilowatt hour electricity price. Instead, they are still suffering from a high price of 0.542 RMB per kilowatt hour. The annual design capacity of the Three Gorges Dam power plant is 88.2 billion kilowatt hours, which has exceeded 100 billion kilowatt hours in 2018, more than the annual generating capacity of the 12.1 gigawatt class nuclear reactors, equivalent to half of China's annual nuclear power generation, a quarter of France's annual nuclear power generation, and about 2% of China's total annual electricity generation. According to a December 20th, 2013 report by the China news agency Wang Rushu, an advisor to the Environmental Protection Committee on the Three Gorges Group claimed that as of 2013, the Three Gorges power plant had generated a total of 704.5 billion kilowatt hours of electricity, with revenues from electricity sales of 183.1 billion RMB, and that the Three Gorges project had recovered its investment costs. That is to say, the 183.1 billion RMB belongs to China Yangtze River Power Company, but the real investors, Chinese people, did not receive a penny. Wind data shows that since the listing, the China Yangtze River Power Company accumulated profits of 173.535 billion RMB. Within 17 years, it accumulated profits of 171.244 billion RMB, an average annual profit of 10.071 billion RMB, about 1.43 billion RMB. The dividend was very dangerous too. Within 17 years, the company distributed a dividend annually amounting to a total of 108.251 billion RMB at a payout rate of 63.21%. This year, the Yangtze River flooding is very serious, and the amount of water flow is still greatly increasing. According to official media reports, since June 21st, the Three Gorges Power Station, 34 units, are all generating power, with a daily power generation capacity of nearly 400 million kilowatt hours. Shareholders of China Yangtze River Power Company have made a huge profit, but the people who suffered because of these disasters had lost everything, some including their lives. We will continue to provide in-depth coverage of China and give you another perspective on the country. If you are interested in our content, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for tuning in.